Hi, I thought I'd show you my sound install on my Auscision Freight Victoria A-Class locomotive. I've installed a ESU LokSound V4.0 Micro or Mini, and I know some people say there's not enough amperage in an ESU Mini for a HO scale locomotive. Having said that, I've been very careful with the wiring on my layout. I haven't had any problems so far running it on any of my layouts. But I don't run it on DC layouts just in case. So what I've done already is I've taken the couplers out of either end and I've prized open the body, because it's a bit tricky with the Auscisions. It's a nice tight fit, so it takes a little bit to wiggle them apart. But what I'll do is I'll just open him up here. So and put him down there. Okay, so here's the upper part of the install. So you can see the LokSound 4 Mini or Micro decoder there. It's got an 8-pin connector which I just plugged in to the existing light board, and I've just used a bit of tape there. So I've secured that with double-sided tape, a bit of electrical tape to hold the wiring down so it doesn't get caught up anywhere. And then the interesting thing about this particular install is this switch here is normally used by Auscision. It connects to a switch on the bottom of the loco, which I'll show you in a second, that turns the lights on and off. So when you're running it as a B unit in a consist, you can turn the lights off. But what I've done here is I have used the existing wiring for the lights over here. I've disconnected it from the light board here, and I've wired in the speaker wires into here. So the speaker wires go into this connector, into these wires, and then down to the fuel tank, which if I turn her over here carefully, you can see this is where the switch is. Alright, on and off, switch for your lights. I've taken the switch out, and that's where I've installed the speaker in the bottom, firing down. So I've already had a speaker box for the speaker, which I had to trim down a little bit, but the fuel tank also acts as a speaker baffle, so it gets pretty good sound. So that's essentially the install. So speaker in the fuel tank down the bottom, firing underneath, and then comes up and into here, and then you can see the speaker wires here, the brown ones. So it was a pretty neat little install. If you wanted to put the ESU LokSound decoder in there, then as you can see, space is pretty tight on the upper part here, which is why I used a micro. But I have heard of some people who take these connectors off and just solder the wires directly to the light board, and then they put the decoder either in the back area here or up the front. So you can use a full-size decoder if you want to do that. It's not particularly difficult. All it's holding these connectors on is actually these soldered wires. So if you actually cut those wires, then that'll come off, as I found with this one, which is why there's a little bit of double-sided tape underneath there holding that back down. But and if I'm unlucky enough ever to burn out the decoder, then that's probably what I'll do if it burns out. But at this stage, I had no issues with it burning out, so she runs pretty well. So what I'll do is I'll put it back together, and then we'll go across the layout and I will show you how she sounds. Okay, here we are on the layout. Alright, we'll go through the sounds. Here we are. Start up. Headlights. Now, this hasn't been specifically programmed for an A class. I've got to get around to getting it properly programmed for the A class. The engine is correct. It has a bell. Yes, Australian locomotives don't have a bell, but there's the bell sound. But prototypically, the Australian ones don't have a bell. The horn is the wrong one. I think it's a 3 chime on this recording. It should be a 5 chime. So there are some places down here in Victoria. I think Branchline Hobbies is one of them, where they've got actual recordings of A classes that they can and they can program your locomotives for you. So I'll eventually get around to doing that. But in the meantime, we'll just go through the sounds. Obviously that's the bell on function 1. Function 2 is the horn. 3 is the coupler. Nothing on 4. 5 is the dynamo. I think that's what it's called. Someone will obviously correct me. Okay, that's the standard LokSound engineer slant conductor talking. Nothing in function 7. Function 8 is shutdown and start up, so I'll go through shutdown. And start back up. Function 9 is the background train sound, which is standard for LokSound. Function 0 obviously is headlights. Function 10, I think that's brake release. Short horn on function 11, and nothing on function 12. Okay, so that's there's the sounds. Now I'll go through. Okay, here's the give a demonstration of the engine sounds as she revs up. So here we go. There you go. Hope you like the video.